Hi, I'm Gary Jenkins and welcome to my show. Today we're going to paint a bald eagle with a moon. Yeah, I've been doing well, not lots, I just finished doing a rose with wildflower downloadable video, and I really had so many people placing orders for that video. That really got me excited about doing a lot more for you guys out there. Now I can reach Canada and Europe, Germany and Holland, all of Switzerland, because I have fans out there that haven't been able to get my videos, which were DVDs, and now they can download it and get all my stuff that I'm going to be doing. If you guys have anything out there that you might like me to do in the future, drop me an email at, it'll be on my video at the end where you can reach me, and let me know what you would like me to do for you. I don't know if you want more florals or more birds. I'm going to be doing an eagle next, and not an eagle, we're doing that now. I'm going to be doing an egret for you guys. With my new background. That'll be the next one after this one that I do. So anyway, let's get started and let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. See you in a minute. Bye-bye. Well, we're back, and here we are with our canvas. It's a 14 by 18. And you'll see back here that I already painted in some black, which is black acrylic, or you could use black gesso. I use black acrylic, and painted around the outside. Now, I will send you a pattern which you can put on your canvas. You can see I don't have the full circle on the pattern, but what I do have is when you have your graphite underneath, which would be, wait a minute, no, yeah, your black graphite, that's right, black graphite. You can pick this up at Dick Blick online. And to finish off that circle with your black graphite underneath, this is about a 9-inch paper plate, and you just put it on there and draw it around, and it'll leave a pencil line on there for you. And then after you get your pattern, now, very important, take your time with your pattern. Don't just simplify everything. Most people, I see them when they do the top of the eagle, they just round it off, and then all of a sudden it looks cartoony. So you don't want to do that. Follow your pattern, take your time, and don't rush. And again, before you put your black on the canvas, you will use your pie plate to finish off your circle for the moon using black graphite, which you can get online. Dick Blick sells all of that stuff. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, we got my palette down here. We're going to start with the moon. And here's my palette right here, and I will pull the camera down so you can see what I have down there. This is the palette. Now, what I'm going to do at the end of the video is I'm going to have a supply list for you guys, which you can print off or just copy off or write it off on a piece of paper, so you have a record of the paint that I'm using. Here we have Cad Yellow Medium, which I have mixed a little yellow, cadmium orange, and white. Here I have, that's Cad Yellow Medium. Oh, no, excuse me, Cad Yellow Light. Here we have cadmium orange mixed with a little sienna. Here we have, what do we have? Sienna and orange mixed together. Burnt umber down here, cerulean blue and white. Here I have some black and umber here, titanium white, and I've taken some black and white and mixed up a gray. Now if we need more colors as we go along, Again, I will tell you what they are, and I will have it at the end of this video. This is great because these are download. Unless you specifically wanted a DVD, I can do that. Maybe, I don't know. Right now, this is for a download. Let's come down. Oh, you can see the picture over here. The moon doesn't have to, now when you get a color photo, which I'll send you, it doesn't have to match exactly what we have. This is about a little over 1/4 of an inch wide brush. The medium I use is nothing but just good old turp, and I have a big pot of it here. Odorless turp. Don't get that stuff you get at the hardware store. Orange, cadmium orange, and cad yellow medium. And if it's not spreading, put a little turp on it and get it on there. Sometimes my hand might be in the way, sorry. And a little more yellow, cad yellow light. It's not too wet. Too wet, and it gets a little too slippery up here. Maybe yellow and a touch of white. You can experiment. Again, these colors don't have to match the photo that I send you. Over here, as it comes down, it gets a little darker, but I don't want to muddy my brush up, so we'll do that later. It's a little on the dry side, so it doesn't slip and slide. Now, if you do come out into the background by accident, don't worry about it. Just take a little black oil and go over it. Here's some white. White, very dry. And let's leave a little texture. And I put it on a tiny bit thicker. Working dry keeps the brush from slipping and sliding, so you have more control, especially around where the moon meets the dark. Coming around here. Paint into the head just a little bit, because you'll be bringing the feathers out over the top. Again, don't worry about it matching. It doesn't have to. You might come up with some colors that are much better than what I have. Push down. That keeps the brush, keeps you from shaking. And I shake. At my age, I shake all over the place. Now I'm going to dip into the turp, and I'm going to take a little black. I'm going to place that down here, black. And it's thinned down quite a bit, because I don't want it too thick. And I want the edge of the moon to slip into the background. I'm going to clean my brush. Well, let's see. And you're going to hear me rip off some towel. It gets a little loud, I know. And let's take a little orange and yellow. Notice the stroke is a crisscross, yeah. Crisscross. Just get it on. And again, don't worry, I'll keep telling you about its matching. It doesn't have to match the photo I'm sending. I went over a little bit. You can take and just push it back this way, and you can wipe it off. Okay. Now, this edge has lost a lot more, so I'm going to wet this down with black oil. Black oil paint. And I'm going to bring that right in. Now watch this. Woo-hoo. Finger time. Oop. Finger time. Finger does a good job of blending. Easel's making some noise. All right. Maybe we'll take some cadmium orange, stick it in there. Oh, it has a little, the cadmium orange has a little black in it, so I'm going to clean my brush off. And take a little more cadmium orange and pull that together. Yeah. Finger again. I hear my easel making some sounds. And up here, this is orange with a touch of black. Careful, careful. You can paint into the head a little bit. A little bit straighter right here. And I'm just going to work that out until it blends into nothing. Maybe I'll paint into that beak just a little orange. Let's put a little sienna with it. Orange sienna. And sienna just darkens up. I just took a little bit of chirp on the corner of my brush. And round it goes. You paint again, paint into the eagle just a little bit. A little. Maybe we'll get a little more orange in here. Get rid of all that dark. There's so many variables because as far as color is concerned, it depends on how your TV is set up with color, the cameras, my camera. So there will be some not exactly the same. I'm taking white. Ooh, there's a hair on there. White. And I'm going to go, look at that. I'm really going to put it on thick. White, titanium white. Thicker. So it gets, see the texture? Yes. Let's take a little yellow and white. Pat. You see how it pat? And when I pat, I don't pat it straight. Pat it with a curve. It adds energy to your painting. Now, we might go back into that. I don't know. We'll get our eagle going here in a sec. All right. That went in a lot faster than I thought. Okay, we'll pull that up. You want a nice transition between the dark, middle tone, light. Everything has 3 tones. Dark, middle, light. Remember, and don't even think about rounding the top of his head off. Notice this curve right there. Very important, that curve. Yeah. And if it's not on you, let me see if it's on the... Yeah. Oh, it's there. Here's the pattern. I might even, when you get yours, just curve it more. Mine went a little straight. Okay. Now I'm going to take another brush because we're going to go and start the eagle going. Oop. Well, there's the other guy over here. Now you see it's not the same. Who cares? Let's get in here. Let me test it. Make sure you can see my hand. Yeah, you can. I think I'll get a little bit of that other guy so you can have a split screen here. We're going to have a brush that comes to a point, very important. Black And we're going to come in here and just paint that black in. Black across the top. And maybe we'll just get a little black around the outside. I get quiet when I'm doing this little stuff. Cool, now he's getting that look. This color here, let me hold this up so you can see it. This is, if I get the glare off, black and white, and it's just a gray, though it might look a little darker on your screen. And we're going to come in, that's why I don't do all this and lay it in, because I want to put my hand on here. And we're going to just tap it. Now this is very dry. Very dry. Look at it come up. See how I'm just tapping? Tap, 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 tap. Don't skip past this stuff. Very important. And maybe a little bit up in here. Between the dark and his feathers up here, we might get just a slight tone. Very dry, very dry, 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 dry. Yeah. Come on out. It's still very dry. Getting some of these little darks going. Take your time. And we'll pick up more of that gray. It's a little on the dry side. And we might get a little of that gray. Now, I'm not pushing down as hard on the brush, so I'm getting this middle tone gray going in. Dark, middle tone. And I'll wipe the brush. I think I'll pick up my other brush down here. This is just a little more than 1/4 of an inch brush. And I'm going to take gray. Remember that gray we mixed up? Put a little more white with it. Now I'm going to take a little cerulean blue and white and mix with the gray. Let's see what we get. So we have, you can see it's a little on the blue side. I'm going to dip the brush into the odorless turp. When I dip in, I just dip the corner in. I suppose I shouldn't get too much going because I have to do that and I have to put my hand on here. So I'm not going to do that whole thing or I'll get paint on my palm of my hand and then it gets a little weird. Okay. Now remember, there's a skull underneath all this stuff. So I'm feeling it, the curve, feel it, feel it, feel it. Now, I'm going to switch back to my other brush. That's this little brush that comes to it's called a round. It comes to a point. Let's take our yellow and white. Little touch of turp. I'm resting my hand here where there's nothing, it's dry. And let's put that in there. Now we're going to put in a base tone. Watch me go into that gray and just sort of tap it so it gets a little gnarly. A little more orange. So we have just a slight change. Be careful. Now if you screw up on his beak, you can always take black and clean that edge up. And just brush it in. Notice how I kind of pat. Let's take some sienna and orange. Sienna and orange, because it gets a little darker right in here. Sienna and orange. And a little dark comes around this way. And another one, another dark. Where this is the opening of his beak. So you put your dark in first. Well, I have that dark on my brush. I think I'll put some up here. Now, when they use their beak for everything, when they're fishing and diving and doing all that stuff they do, so it gets a little gnarly. And you can leave a little texture. I'm picking up white, very dry. You see, go in, see how it just bounce around. Bounce, let the brush work for you. White again, pure white, very dry, because I want it to really stand out up here. Can you see? Am I painting behind the brush? Yeah. Pay attention to the detail. You see that little light, how important it is? And that light continues up there. Let's go. Wrong way. I want to get in there real close. Because it's important you see this. Whoop. You see this stuff. So we have yellow, a touch of white, right in here. And another over here, another here. Reaching for more yellow and white. And the same color. Now when you want to blend, you see where that yellow is meeting that dark. Wipe your brush on your towel, dry it, and just kind of tickle it in. Tickle. Yeah. A little dark, back to our sienna and orange. And our gray that we mixed up way in the beginning. You can't see that. Sometimes my hand will be in the way, I know. Here's that dark coming down. So basically, that's not too bad. Let's go back up to that eye. The eye needs a little help. We're going to take, I just dipped into the turp, wet the brush down, I'll pull that around. Ooh. Let's take a little white up in there. Can you see what I'm doing? Sometimes you use your finger in there. Now this white needs to be cleaned up. What? Back and forth, right into the dark. Wipe the brush, and we're going to take that white right into the dark. Yes, so it's soft. I'll take some cerulean blue and white. I'm going to find just a little highlight. It's right there. Let's back. Let's see if I can go the right way. Nope. There we go. Pretty good. I'm looking at it to see what I've missed. There's that gray going in. We're going to wipe the brush and pick up some white. Notice how I'm stroking this. Yes. Push down and pull up. I'm going to go back to my 1/4 inch, or a little more than a 1/4 inch actually. White. You can leave some texture. See how I'm hitting it? White, very dry. Now the stroke is going to straighten out, it's going to start to go the other way. Got lucky there. Now watch me come down the corner of the brush. Yes, white, dry. Now as we come up, we're going to hit, because that moon, the paint's wet, which is fine. Now it's starting to round off. Don't get the top of the head round. If it is, come back down and push it back so it's not round. Pulling some of that into the orange, or into the white. Blending is important, where the white meets the gray. Notice how I hit it. Let the brush work. Don't try to get in there and get every little feather. It gets too hard looking. Now we're getting into the feathers coming out. Turn the brush. Now there's some skinny little guys coming out of there, because the feathers are not all thick. And notice how it tapers. Oh, there's a good one. I love it when you can get a good one. Now I'm going to take this gray over. I'm going to get a little chirp on the corner. Feathers. Shall we? Looks like it needs to be that black and white. It needs to be a little darker over here. And we're going to go back into that in a minute. Take our white with a little blue. We're going to go back in and darken this moon, back of the moon up a little. We want to make sure we got this curve correct, because it does curves around. It's a little stuff. It's the little stuff that makes the painting. I'm going to get in there and get a little darker gray here. Now my painting is turned to the side a little so you guys can see what I'm doing. So it might be a little out of whack. That's what it should look like. Okay. Let's take our white again. So it goes, you're going to have some feathers that are light and some that go into the half tones that are there in the shadows. This is where all the work comes in. And we're going to work this whole area over. A little touch of blue in there. I put some turp on it. To thin it down. Not going to come down too far because we have to get that dark underneath. Notice how I'm working the whole thing. If you pull some of the orange from the moon in, that's great. Let's see how that's looking with the other guy. Yeah, getting there. All right, let's take some umber, burnt umber, and a touch of black. Umber, a touch of black. I'm going to pull that. Notice how I turn the brush to the side to slip it up into the feathers. And it doesn't come straight across. It comes out, it comes back, and there's this thing going on. Umber, little touch of turp. Umber, little touch of turp. This is what's underneath the feather work. This is what people don't see, because it's all going to be covered with feathers. Look at me pull that up in there. So we married together the brushwork and the brushwork up here, feathers, and the feathers down here. If that makes sense. Clean that brush off. Take a little turp on the brush. Pick up some white. Now watch the stroke. Down and turn. You see it? I want to get in there. Back. Hey, I went the right way. I want to get in down there because this is important. Flat and turn. And now I'm on the bottom of the brush. You can see me wiggle it just a little. Some of them are skinny. See how I brought some of it up? And when you bring it up, you might come back in with the light. The side of the brush on the bottom. This is where people have most of the trouble of pinning these feathers. I'm going to work this whole thing over. Skinny ones. Once you get the hang of it, it's not that hard. Notice that indentation right there. Notice these are going this way. Then they straighten out. And then they curve the other way. See? And as this white dries, you'll be able to get more of a highlight going. Because when the white's wet, it has a tendency to eat up the white. Yes. We're going to darken this up a little more just to bring that edge out more. Then I'm going to bring the feathers out. Just a little, bring them out, very dry. Messed up right there. I need a little orange and sienna. A little more blue, cerulean blue and white. Sometimes you lose the shadows and you cerulean blue and white. And you have to put the shadows back in. See how important these little shots are. Look how loose I'm painting. Loose, loose, loose. Burnt sienna. Orange. You see it gets a little warmer up here. A little warmer color. Make sure this curves on your pattern It might show a straight line, but make sure it curves. That we get that curve where that's the start of his wing in there. I'm going to take black because this is bulging out a little bit too much. Sienna, umber, and it's pretty wet because this part is going to come down and it will get lost down in the bottom. Now this is just the base tone, the base. We will go on top of it and pick out featherwork. Black. We're going to tie that bottom of the eagle right into dark. Ooh, you hear me hitting the easel, making noise. Now this is a base tone, black and sienna. This has to go in before we can go in and pick out the feathers. And we'll take a little of that gray, black and white, with a little sienna. This shows the top of the wing. Very loose, very free and loose. Paint like a child. Maybe some of that. Oh, yes. I know the easel's making a sound. I'll have to tape that down. Very thin. Black to bring it, the bottom has to fade away into nothing. So we must have this bottom laid in very, very loose. Little touch of black up in here, very thin. Little black up in here. There's a little dip right there. Why? I have no idea, but it helps the wing from being too symmetrical. That is the base tone for all the wonderful feather work that we're going to put in, and then we'll, again, hey, this is just still laid in up in here. We have a lot of work that we have to do to clean it up and make it into a nice work of art and not just something that kind of resembles an eagle, but we don't want that. We want a nice fine art looking piece that can hang in fine art galleries and command big prices. I got to put my finger on here because he has to breathe. He has to breathe. Yeah. That might be a little hard looking. bring some of the back into it a little. Okie dokie. How's he looking with our other guy over there? Well, that's not too bad. We're getting there. Remember, this is still laid in. We might darken up. I see it's a shade darker over here, which is helping to bring the head out. You can see over here these values are a little close together, so I might take some of this tone and slip it in there to bring his head out more. Right now it's sinking into the background. So, but this all comes in time. We're working the whole guy over. It's going to be very strong painting. Yes. Well, let's get on and let's do some more feather work. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go, as I mentioned before, and add a little gray back in here so we pop this guy's head out. Now, I did a little here. This is gray. I took some black and white, made a gray, about a number 2 or 3, and then I put a little orange with it to warm it up. So that's what I have right here. And I'm going to come in and get that in. Kind of on the dry side. You don't want it too wet. And I'm going to come up. Remember, don't round the top off. So I'm going to cut into the head just a little bit. Maybe use the edge of the brush and pop some of the feathers in. Oh, now that looks cool. Notice how I just kind of hit it. Yeah. Maybe soften that edge up. We're going to come around here. Get some of that dark going up in here. Might have to pop that out. Looks like it went in a little bit. We'll get that in a minute. Okay, and then just dry brush. It's not wet. Brush is kind of on the dry side. Take your finger and even work it in this way. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to bring this up. Really gray this down a lot back here. Got a little too bright. But that's what happens. You do your painting, and then you go back in and we tweak it. We make adjustments. Because it's never right, or very seldom is it right the first time. I know this is very hard, but we'll go back into that in a minute. Come on up. No, as I mentioned before, it's not going to match your photo. But actually what I'm going to do is, the photo I send you will be of the painting we're doing, not of that one. So that it should match, because it will be the same painting that I'm doing for you. I'm going to take a little orange and just pop that, and very dry. It's very important whether you work dry or whether you work with a little terp with it, which is my medium. That looks better. I'm going to maybe get in there a little more. Now I'm going to wipe the brush. I'm dipping into the terp. And I'm going to pick up some white. And we'll get back in here. There's that place that kind of went in a little bit. We're going to bring that out. It's okay if some of that background gets in there, because what it does, it softens up the head. Maybe make sure you get that round right in there. So we slow down now. Everybody's in such a rush. If you're going to be a painter, it does take patience. And some paintings you lose a few, and you win a few. well, I've been in a fine art gallery now for about almost a year now, which is really a kick. And every first Friday of the month, I go down and meet all the wonderful people. Now, I'm in a tourist town, so we get a lot of tourists coming in. And on the first Friday, I go in and play artist. And I'm very fortunate that they have my paintings in a room off to the side by itself. So it kind of showcases what I'm doing, and it's kind of neat. It's really cool. Yeah. Maybe a little, look at that. Can you see I'm popping it? It's all this little subtle stuff. Oh boy, it's so important to get this subtle stuff in. This is dry now. Side of the brush is used a lot to get these thin pieces coming out. This indentation is very important that I have. So it's not just the same all back and forth. You want to break up that line, that's what that's for. And I'm popping little lights in, and as your white dries, you can get in there and play with all these little subtle things, feathers coming out, little lights here and there. This is what adds the quality to your work. Quality, quality. If you're going to get the big bucks, and I've been fortunate enough at this gallery that some of my larger paintings are around 8,000. Yeah. Even the small ones are pricey. Sometimes I wonder, whoa, boy, that's pricey. That painting's gotten to be pretty expensive, but people are buying them, which I'm very grateful for. Now, let's get down here and see what kind of problems we can find and solve. Down there we do have, as you see down here, I'm going to come down and start some of this feather work down here. Let's take our black and white, make a gray, put a little sienna with it. Now the sienna warms the gray up. It warms the gray up. And we'll make a test shot. Now this is a little on the dry side. It's not wet. But notice the curve coming in here. Sometimes the side of the brush, remember the side, gets all those little skinny feathers coming out. And as it comes down, less pressure, less pressure. Notice the curve again, yes, because that's his belly, and it curves. Feel there's a body under there. And it's going to just fade away into nothing. Very dry. This is dry brush. Sometimes you use the flat of the brush and turn. It's also subtle. Very subtle. And we want more paint off the brush. As the paint comes off and there's less there on your brush, you have to push down a little harder to get it to come out. If it's too hard looking, you can just kind of brush over it, soften it in. And you want them to look a little ragged. Now we're going to bring this edge out. This is the end of his wing. So I'll put a little touch more white, but again, it's very dry. Notice the stroke goes this way, then as it comes across, it turns, so you're going from here to here to here. Little light on the top. Again, I have to stress that this is a dry brush. This simply means that there's no medium or terp on there. A little more white. Here's that subtle, being very subtle, getting those little edges coming out. And people will react to your painting. They get up close and they look at the feathers. They see the subtleties that you put in. Don't think they don't see it. They do. And I want them to look a little ragged. Yeah, and don't overdo. I'm looking at it to see what else it needs. I'm going to clean the brush off. It's full of that white. Cool. I must have got my hand in over here on the edge of the canvas. I had some white on there. Whoop, let's get that over there. That's what's cool about having an acrylic background. You get stuff on there, you can just wipe it off without disturbing what's underneath. Still, and remember, do not get up here and round that off. Notice the angle here. Very important, that angle. I want to bring that out just a little bit more with this side of the brush. Very subtle stuff going on here. I see people that do these eagle paintings, and they just don't spend enough time doing the feather work. Every stroke you put on is important. Yes, that angle. Don't round it off. See how the angle is like this, which helps them to move along. And as your painting dries, because you might have to go back into it the next day too, to get some of this white on there. And don't make all your strokes the same. Boring. I'm going to pick up a little, yes. See that little light down there? That's so cool. All right, I love this thing. This painting went pretty good. I hope yours works out for you. We still have some stuff to do in the background, which over in here, every little stroke is important. We got good stuff going in up there. I get quiet because I'm just checking her out here. Maybe we get a little more shot right in there. Wipe the brush, and we're going to soften that in. Using the side of the brush. Oh, yeah, that helps this part to curve in. Yes. Now here I've taken some black and orange. Let me pick this up and show you. Black and orange. And it's very dry. And I'm using this brush a little more larger than 1/4 of an inch. And before I start in here, I put off camera a little linseed oil in here. You can't see it, but it's on there to help the paint spread around. So I'm just going to get some of this going. It's very dry now because the linseeds on there, it's going to help paint to move along and to blend in. Now we're going to get that on there. Let me get in there a little closer. Whoa, wrong way, Sam. Let's get in there, way in there. I'm going to take a towel and wipe it and blend it in. It's no big deal. See that little bit of curve? Very important to get a little curve in there. All right, now once that's in, we're just going to take and you just play around with it. Get what you want in there. Get a little more white in there. Use your finger to blend it in. It's very soft. It's way in the background. And you just mess with it. You can put whatever you want. You don't have to have this much in there. You can have as little or more. It doesn't really matter. It's your painting. Let's take and put a little, you know, I like to put orbs in my paintings, so maybe we'll have a little orb in here. If you're not familiar with orbs, it's really just little forms of energy that we have here really in Sedona where I live. And it's really there, floating around. You can't see it. Some people have managed to photograph some of them. And there's even an orb society out there. Look at the finger, just getting a few going. Don't get too crazy back there. It's just a little hint of something going on. See how it works in. That's looking cool. Let's get in there a little closer. Hey, there it is. Look at that. Let's see how it works with the whole painting. Yes, yes. Whoa, there's a lot more in the other one. And it looks a little brighter. Maybe we'll take a little white. Very dry. Very dry. Very important. Remember, I put linseed on there, which helps it to spread. And don't get too much going. Might have a few too many of those little orbies. You can just wipe it out. It's just a hint, guys. Don't get carried away with a bunch of little circles or orbs floating around. Okay, now what I'm going to do, this looks pretty good. The worst thing you want to do is get in here and overwork it, get too much going, and then you're in trouble. So let's take a look, a little closer look at the head. Things are going cool. Remember that dark we put in over here to let the moon just sort of float back into the background. We're looking good on the bottom. Don't make too much of the wing. Remember, if it gets hard down here, use your finger to soften things in. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because we have time, because this little guy went in a little faster than I thought he would. You can, oh, by the way, this is a 14 by 18 canvas, and you can do these on a gallery wrap. That's where the side of the canvas is about 1.5 inches wide. You can do that. This is just on a normal canvas, so it would have to have a frame. Normally I work on gallery wraps because I like the gallery wrap, doesn't need a frame, and I like to use the copper leaf on the sides, and then I usually use the copper leaf inside there into the painting just a little bit. I think we did a pretty good job here. I'm going to do a little technique video for you guys next, and show you how to do the feather work, and slow down and show you the brush work, and so you can familiarize yourself with how to use your brush. Your brush is your friend. And this brush that I'm using for this whole guy mostly was this 1/4 inch, a little larger than a 1/4 inch. And but in a minute, I'm going to come back up here and show you some good old feather work. Now I'm going to name off the colors for you, so you might get a pencil and paper and write this down so you can remember. First of all, I have titanium white, burnt sienna, burnt umber, ivory black, cadmium orange, cad yellow light, cerulean blue, and black. Also mixed a little white with the black because this is what the gray that you'll be using on the eagle and in the areas where, let's take a peek over here. Right in through here where it's gray, but it's a cool gray. So you'll mix up a gray, maybe a little lighter than this, and sneak a little blue in it just to cool it off. Maybe a touch of white. You kind of have to experiment with it. But these are the basic colors that I use. It's kind of almost a limited palette. There's not that much up here. But this will give you an idea of the colors that I used up there to get this old guy going. I think it turned out pretty good. I hope yours does too. I'm going to take this down. What I wanted to do, oh, by the way, while I'm thinking of it, you will receive a full color photo, which I will email to you, so make sure I get your email address, and the pattern, which I'll email you, which you can. Now, here's just a thought. You know, when you print out your pattern on your printer, it comes out on paper that's a little thicker than tracing paper. You might want to take some tracing paper and trace this off on the tracing paper. It's a little easier to transfer the image onto your canvas when the paper is a little thinner. Just a thought. Maybe it'll work for you. I don't know. Give it a shot. If not, the tracing paper's the way to go. I wanted to do a little technique here on the feather work, because this seems to be an area where most people get into trouble. Now I'm just going to use my odorless thinner, which is just Terp, odorless Terp. And I'm going to just do it in black and white because it shows up better for you. So I'm going to take this brush, take some black. Now when we're doing say this area in here, all of this feather work, let's get in there and take a peek at that. All this wonderful feather work we have in here, I'm going to show you in black how that works, how to move your brush along. So, when you're doing feather work, I would take and you push down, and as you come out, you pull up. You see? Some of it is longer. Some of it is, or you see how I have the brush to the side? Some of the feathers are just little skinny little guys. Maybe even thinner than that. Look at that. It's all in the touch. And as that turns, and you have some feathers coming out this way. See the side? You see that? And the stroke is, even little skinny guys, you come in and you pull up and away, pull up and away. And then you get a rhythm going. Now, on this eagle over here, you see how the strokes are going this way, then they kind of straighten out, and then they go the other way. You see it? So if let's maybe leave that here. If we're doing up in here, the stroke would be flat and turn. Some of them are facing down. Ooh, you can't see that. Use your imagination. Flat. Still can't see it. Yeah, I'm trying to keep the other picture in there. Anyway, there we go. Flat and turn. Yeah, flat and turn. So most of the whole painting is all feather work. Flat and turn. Again, the little skinnies are very important for you to do. I'm going to back up here. One of these days I'll learn which way is in and which way is out. Some of the feathers are wider, so you push down more and then turn. You see that? The tip is very important. And some of that will flow up. Practice, practice, practice. So, because I found that people that do eagles, I wanted to take a minute just to show you this. They have problems doing feathers. Actually, this is a takeoff from my floral painting. Remember where I would do long tapered leaves, flat, run with it, and then back. Long tapered leaves in my flowers. Well, this is the same stroke, except they're not quite as long and skinny. They're just a little shorter. They're still wide, but not quite as long and graceful. Practice using the edge of your brush. And this, you see, when you're learning to do this, you're learning to do many, many things. In a floral painting, this might be fern that you would be putting into a painting. Of course, your leaves. So, pretty basic stuff. The eagle is done mostly, of course, feather work. Watch your values. We might take a little white, mix with our gray. Now, when you're doing your feathers, remember, it's a building process. You have to build layer upon layer. Now, this is just black and white, so it's not exactly the same as I've been showing you in the video. But coming up, you see how we get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Of course, this would be more of that tone in there, which is sort of a cool gray. I hope this isn't confusing for you guys. But there you are. Well, there it is. And again, all this stuff is nothing but practice. But I wanted to throw this in at the end to show you that feather work. Pay attention to your drawing. Take your time. And one thing we all have to practice, and that's patience. Look for the little stuff, because that's what makes the difference between the haves and the have-nots. The haves pay attention to detail, and the haves have lost more paintings than those that have failed. People will try it and they fail and they say, oh, well, I guess maybe I shouldn't be doing eagle paintings. The one that makes it is the one that says, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm going to put it up and do it again. I'm going to put it up and do it again. I'm going to put it up and do it again and again and again and again. So, and I don't want to hear out there that you can't do it. I have a learning disability, guys. Had it all my life. School. I've talked about this before. And I have to probably work harder than most people doing this stuff. Yeah. Learning it. Yeah, I have to do it over and over and over. But you can get it if you just hang in there and keep practicing. I don't want to preach to you guys. You already know a lot of this stuff. So hang in there and let's make this eagle painting really cool. I hope your paintings turned out. The eagle isn't that difficult to do as long as you pay attention to all the little detail and feather work. Remember, there's wide feathers and skinny feathers, so you just mix it up so it's not all the same. I really enjoy doing these online shows for you guys out there, because I'm reaching the whole world out there. I'm getting orders coming in from Europe and Switzerland, and some from our friends up in Canada. All the folks I haven't been able to, when I was doing a lot of DVDs, wasn't able to ship them because the shipping was so expensive, so I had to stop doing that. But now you guys out there can download my stuff I plan on doing a lot more. Oh, my next one is going to be my new technique, abstract backgrounds with the egret. It'll be a white egret, and I'm going to show you all the stuff and all the technique on how to do the abstract backgrounds that I do with birds, and you could also do it with flowers too. So it's really a kick to experiment. And the main thing here is it's not the painting. What it is it's just a journey that we all take together here when I'm got my camera set up and I'm taping all this for you guys. It's just you and me, and we're together on this journey through the painting, whether it's egrets or flowers or whatever. It's I take your hand and I just say, hey, come along and follow me, and let's put some of you into the painting and some of me into the painting, and let's see what we end up with. Well, there you are. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget, new stuff coming your way, and I'll be uploading a lot of the video on Facebook and YouTube, so you can see what I'll be doing in the future for you guys. It's really exciting for me at my age. Good grief. Anyway, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.